his senses keyed as tightly as if he'd just stepped back into an Esser-height arena. Abramm Kalladorne stood on Wanderer's quarterdeck with his 2 liegemen, nervously scanning the leaden waters of Kalladorne Bay. As the white cliffs guarding the bay's mouth slid silently astern, he wondered if the other men's stomachs had just done the same little twist his own had. Probably. It was one thing to boast of slaying sea monsters and sharing fabulous rewards in the warm, smoky haven of a Carcassonne tavern. Quite another to sail alone past a gaggle of crudely made warning buoys into the quiet, empty waters of what had once been the busiest harbor in Kiriath. Off the port gunwale, a broken mast listed in the spray-plumed rocks at the base of the western headland. With shredded canvas still fluttering from its yard arm, it stood in silent memorial to all the vessels lost to the monster since spring. 6 of them fully rigged merchantmen, weighing over 500 tons. Large, strong, stable ships. Back in Carcassonne's own busy international harbor, Wanderer had seemed large and strong herself. Crafted of oak and iron, she floated at just over 400 ton, with 3 stout masts and a complement of square-rigged sails, now bellying handsomely before the breeze. Plenty strong and safe she looked in Carcassonne. Suddenly she had grown small and frail and pitifully inadequate. Suddenly Abramm could not imagine how he had thought her anything but, how he had ever let himself get talked into this hare-brained scheme. To think that he and his companions could sail into this bay, brazen as gulls, knowing nothing about their adversary, and strike it dead when all who'd come before them had failed, was not only arrogant, but incredibly stupid. And even if he and his companions did not mean to use conventional weapons, it was still stupid. Especially considering that the weapon they did mean to use could get them all lynched for heresy. Tendrils of hair teased free of the warrior's knot on his neck, lashed annoyingly about his face as he glanced down at Wanderer's waist and foredeck, where every man had turned out, ready for action. Crewmen lined the gunwales, balanced on the bowsprit, and clung to the rigging. Weathered faces with keen eyes searched the gray swells for the telltale ripple, the rock-like hump briefly breaking the surface, the quick breaching grope of a fleshy tentacle, as fat around as one of Wanderer's masts. They would use the 4 boats stowed between the 2 forward masts to engage the Kraken once it was spotted. 2 8-man whale hunters and 2 20-man longboats. They also had harpoon guns, axes and spears aplenty, 2 extra masts, and a crew of 150 crazies. Experienced, die-hard adventurers who relished the challenge of facing a creature no one else could slay, and of divvying up the not insubstantial reward money when it was over. Assuming anyone remained alive to divvy. This is insane, Abramm thought. Dorsati bravado has pushed me into this, and nothing more. It's far too late in the day. At the least, we should heel out and go around to Stillwater Cove for the night, get our bearings, learn something about this monster, where it's been seen, where it hasn't, how often it feeds, what its habits are. But just as he was about to give the order to retreat, his liegeman spoke at his side. It's shadow spawn, all right. Can you feel that aura? About as strong a warding as any I've ever encountered. Greaseworm-like, but not greaseworm. Abramm glanced at him, chagrined to realize that was exactly what it was. The all-too-familiar doubts and second thoughts might be his own, but the rising intensity of his anxiety and resistance to proceeding came from outside himself. Part of the defensive aura generated by the monster they sought. Abramm's red-bearded, freckle-faced liegeman, oath-made as of last night, raised a brow in unspoken amusement.